So now we have a panel discussion and we have a very interesting topic planned for you. It is innovative financial product offerings for individual investors, exploring ideas beyond traditional offerings. We are talking about, a lot of products this morning, and this is one of the most awaited panel that we have, innovative financial product offering. This panel is moderated by Mr. Deepak Jain, Director AFM India. We have got 4 panelists here. Mr. Bhavik Thakkar, CEO, Ebens Investment Managers. Mr. Gaurav Chakrabarti, Vice President and Regional Head East, ASK Investment Managers Limited. Mr. Rahul Samani, Executive Director and Head of Investments in Integro AMC. Mr. Siddharth Chatterjee, Market Expert and Author. A very warm welcome once again to all the esteemed panelists. And I'm requesting all the participants to please pay attention to this panel discussion. There are beautiful questions. Again, we are asking the brightest minds of the country that we have here. And any question if you have, you may please ask after the panel and we will try to accommodate the same. A big round of applause to this panel discussion and to all the esteemed panelists we have here on the dais for you. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. So what we'll be talking today are innovative financial products. So I know finance is evolving, products are evolving, and as advisors, as distributors, we need to know what is new happening in the industry, what new products are coming into the industry, and how can we include that in a client's portfolio to actually help clients manage their money better. And we have a very good panel with us. So I'll start by an open question to all my panelists, and that is, how would you define an innovative financial product? What constitutes actually what is innovative? So at what stage would you say this is not an old product in a new avatar, it's just an innovative product? Anyone who wants to take that.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rahul Somani from Integro. So when we talk about the innovation in the financial investments and advisors, everybody talks about alpha. So for me, any innovation which can create an alpha for the investors, that's an innovation. Typically, this alpha has been created in the investment on 2 sides. So just like any other raw material, money is a raw material. So at the end of the day, either it could be manufactured, used for manufacturing, or it could be used for trading of information. So when we do something in the markets, that's typically the trading of information that we are doing. There's a buyer and a seller who have a different take on the information with them, and that's how they are investing. And then there is the capital provider for the manufacturing, wherein there is something getting developed for the underlying, where the money is going. So that's the innovation, where how do you create an alpha, either through being a capital provider to the manufacturing or the information trade.
Yeah, please go ahead. No problem.
Yeah. So if I just add some different angle to this, as a human being, हम सबका एक nature है, कुछ ना कुछ नया करने का, right? And the question is that why innovation, and innovation क्यों होता है, right? So if I can just take you back to some 30-40 years, कि पहले हम equity market में investment करते थे, and Calcutta used to be a very happening place on the equity side, right? तो उस वक्त जो आपका system था in terms of how you are operating, that has gone through a sea change, right? जो outcry system से लेके, we have gone through the most secured, like, demat systems and all, right? Similarly, equities में भी financial instruments आए, जैसे futures and options, derivatives as an instrument आए, correct? Which is there from a risk management point of view, right? So it is basically क्या होता है कि आप जब कोई product को समझना चालू करते हो, कोई जैसे mutual fund है, for example, when I remember in 2004 when we started, sort of as a distributor, I was part of bank. जब आप फाइनेंस म्यूचुअल फंड के बारे में लोगों को समझाने की कोशिश करते हो, तो आई एम श्योर आप यू विल रेजोनेट विद मी कि बहुत टफ टाइम था इन टर्म्स ऑफ लोगों को समझाने का कि इवन डेट म्यूचुअल फंड में भी आपका नेगेटिव रिटर्न आ सकता है, राइट? ऑल ऑफ दैट, राइट? सो व्हाई इट इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट इज बिकॉज इन्वेस्टर्स ऑल्सो ग्रो विथ देयर एसेट्स, राइट? एक होता है आपका पैसा ग्रो होना, दूसरा होता है कि आप खुद ग्रो हो रहे हो विथ द इवोल्यूशन, राइट? And the third most important thing is that with the evolution of technology, जो नॉलेज ट्रांसफर है वो बहुत जल्दी होता है, राइट? आज अगर आईफोन यूएस में लॉन्च हो रहा है तो सेम डे इंडिया में भी लॉन्च हो रहा है, राइट? सो जो ट्रांसमिशन है कि अगर इनोवेटिव फाइनेंशियल प्रोडक्ट्स ग्लोबल मार्केट में है तो क्विकली ट्रांसलेट होता है इनटू द इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स आल्सो, राइट? So that is how it's a constant endeavor to keep innovating and keep looking at a better and better solution.
Yeah, I agree about your innovation part of it. But then, let's ask a general question to the crowd over here. Like, you have bought a reasonably good exclusive flat for yourself. What is that expensive thing you will be liking to put inside the flat? Apart from the appliances which you require, refrigerators, and what is that you would like to exhibit inside the flat? Any answer? Which you have a pride in possessing, maybe? Maybe you would like to have that people coming and appreciating, wow, what a great thing you have put in. What is that? Sorry? Interiors is already done in that lovely painted flat of yours, overlooking the worldly sea or maybe Ganga over here. What is that you would love to put? Yeah, painting. Now, as an innovative financial product, painting has not yet come into the art fund as such has not evolved in India. Now, I still remember about 15 years back, I suppose. Yeah, must be 15 years back. Someone had a lot of money and the markets were going up. So generally, we were discussing at the club. So he said, okay, I want to put money in the equity. I said, fair enough. What do you expect out of the equity? Well, I know a painting for only 10,000 rupees by an artist not known at that point of time is now selling at 4 crores. So, the question is that this is something, I think there's a perpetual demand over generations to possess, like gold, diamond, those are material kind of stuff. Art is not really material, but it's the eye of that person who is watching. Today you go to Italy, Rome for what? Art, museum, you spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees to go and enjoy. Though you don't understand Michelangelo something. You don't understand all that, but then you feel that the eyes are very soothing. So I think, as an alternative investment concept, this could be innovative products, not that everyone understands it, and I'm too sure there will be experts who will come up, and then they would be able to gauge. Sotheby's London auction house makes millions of pounds just auctioning some weird things which, apparently, this painting would cost 20 crores. My goodness. So I think that is my answer.
Great, sir. My next question is to Mr. Gaurav. Can robo-advisory and direct indexing effectively replace the human touch which is required?
Surely. Thank you so much for the question. Now, in terms of investing, I'm a little old school. And yes, robo-investing, the dynamism which this particular space is providing to us, it's important. But again, it should not be a sacrosanct style of investing. So you try to understand, you cannot, a financial doctor or a doctor always need an assistance to operate. So robot can be an assistance. So in my sense, we have to look at it in a much more wider sense, and you cannot think and take in a very sacrosanct way that this could be the way of investing and that should not be the way of investing. It should complement each other, and I guess the space left for us is huge. And in terms of the direct indexing investing, of course, it gives you a comfort of investing. And if you do that, it will give you index hugging returns. But if you want that extra, if you want to get out of the comfort zone and you have a specific period of time in your hand, then I guess alternates are the space to explore, because here, yes, the firepower is there to give you that little extra for which we all are sitting out here, right? Otherwise, we would have not existed. Just to give you a small perspective on this, indexing investing or in our generation, we call it DIY, right? Do it yourself, right? If I throw you a data, 80% of retail investors invest into stocks where the market cap is less than 150 crores. And to give you a number, the absolute or the CAGR return of those particular stocks would be less than minus 24%. So that's how interesting it can be if you do it yourself. But I guess what Mr. Rao said at the start of when I was here entering that म्यूचुअल फंड जैसे जरूरी है सारथी भी जरूरी है so it should be a combination of both. You cannot look anything in isolation, and India is still yet to grow and go into that stage that everything will be robotic. We still need a human touch, because human touch, when you are not well, in Calcutta there is a viral fever going on, right? If you don't have your children, your parents in front of you, despite you having the paracetamol, you don't feel that touch of getting cured. So that's how I think the narrative should be taken care of.
So my next question is open to all panelists, and it's a very important question. And question is, how can traditional mutual fund distributors, advisors add new innovative products to their portfolio? And what are the stumbling blocks? Because we have seen it's not being very openly adaptable by the advisors. What do you think are the stumbling blocks, and how can we overcome those?
Yeah. So, see, the important thing is that whether we accept that fact or not, your investors' needs are changing, right? So, उनकी need change हो रही है, and we all know that this is a very competitive industry, right? I'm sure आप भी resonate कर पाएंगे कि few clients that you are chasing, a banker is also chasing, a national distributor is also chasing, right? So it's a question of who's providing and who's adding value to it, right? So ultimately क्या है that let's say your mutual fund is a very simple asset class which investors have also understood, and in that process you all have also understood to a large extent, right? I mean, that becomes by heart, right? But when it comes to the other products, ultimately investor would expect, जैसे सारथी जरूरी है, but सारथी की नई skills भी जरूरी है, right? सारथी तो जरूरी है ही है, it is proven. But the investor will also assess कि ये जो सारथी है मेरा mutual fund distributor advisor जो है, whether he is up to date or not, right? And that is why, this, when the products change, right? Because industry बहुत rapidly grow कर रही है, rapidly change भी कर रही है, right? Lot of innovations have been happening, right? तो वो innovation के साथ हम कैसे pace बनाएंगे, right? And pace बनाएंगे, see there could be a state of denial कि हाँ मैं तो म्यूचुअल फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करके मेरा तो 50, 60, 70 करोड़ का यूएम हो गया, मेरे को तो इतनी ट्रेल इनकम आती है, and all of that, right? But that income is a function of that AUM staying within your portfolio, right? I mean within your ARN number, right? If somebody was to offer, क्योंकि आप अगर ऑफर नहीं करोगे इनोवेटिव फाइनेंशियल प्रोडक्ट तो कोई और तो बैठा ही है, राइट? एंड वी ऑल हैव सीन एनी इंडस्ट्री, जैसे मैंने प्रेजेंटेशन में भी दिखाया कि यूएस मार्केट में जो इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड का एक्सपेंस रेशियो था, विच वॉज एट इन द 60-70s, इट वॉज अबाउट 1.5%, वो गिरते गिरते ऑलमोस्ट 70-80 बेसिस पॉइंट्स आ गया, राइट? एंड वी हैव ऑल्सो स्टार्टेड सीइंग दैट कि एक्सपेंसेस, द कॉस्ट, the inefficiencies in any market, आप टेलीकॉम देख लीजिए, आप FMCG देख लीजिए, आप कोई भी दूसरी इंडस्ट्री देख लीजिए, why there is D2C business is doing very well, right? क्योंकि उन्होंने मीडिएशन हटा दिया ना. तो what is important for all of us as a mutual fund distributors is that we first stop telling or identifying us as a mutual fund distributor, क्योंकि आप अपने आप को सिर्फ म्यूचुअल फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बुलाओगे ना तो कस्टमर आपको वही नजरिए से देखेंगे. If you start calling yourself as a financial advisor, right, or as a financial planner, advisor आप नहीं use कर सकते because SEBI का regulation है, but if you are into value-added services, तो customer भी आपको अलग नजरिए से देखेगा, and for that, the learning is constant thing, right? I think AFM is doing, very good job in terms of getting this education to the right set of people.
So I am tempted to tell something what he just said right now, just to provide you the size of opportunity the alternate space is providing. In the last 10 years, the PMS, the discretionary PMS space in the listed equity space has grown at a rate of 14 times, wherein the AIF as a segment in the last 7 years has grown 35 times, and mutual fund in the last 10 years has grown 9 times. I'm not taking anything away. All are different, ways of investing. But if I have to put this into a number, 31% CAGR growth for alternate versus a 24% of mutual fund, which should be an alarm to you that is this the way we should come into right now? Now, what he said, very importantly, these are all top decile fund managers, right? They have the ability to generate single to double digit alpha over the benchmark over a period of time because our market is still inefficient compared to developed market like US.
Anybody?
Yeah, so as an advisor, the biggest benefit that you bring to a client is the introduction. Because at the end of the day, there's always that apprehension to try out a new instrument or a new investment strategy. So it's all about how the advisor puts it across from the perspective of the client's requirement and the financial goals of the client. At the end of the day, your risk, return, and liquidity, they're the three biggest pillars of any investment that is being done. Now, while we talk about the equity and the equity-linked instruments as probably the easiest ones to enter in, but if we consider from the overall perspective of the capital which is there, that's probably only a fraction of the overall capital being required for the industry and the economy. So when Mr. Rao also mentioned that the growth that we're talking about in the next 25 years is already given. It's all about how, as the investors and the clients, how we can participate into that, whether that's in the form of alternatives. Alternatives is a word which has been given to anything which is not the usual. So whether it is a debt or whether it is a REIT or an InvIT or a AIF or a PMS, at the end of the day, how do you participate and how an investor can participate given the current regulations which are in place? So at the end of the day, you have to respect the law of the land. And within that law of the land, the whole idea here is, can there be a minimum amount of tax leakage and in the most efficient format that the investor can participate? So just to give an example, REIT was a classic example which came out like 6 years back. When for the first time the regulator brought that instrument out, it was still perceived or conceived as a slightly HNI product, not an ultra HNI product. With the entry barrier, but then over a period of time when there was a stress testing done through the market route, it's a single unit trade that you can do on the instrument. And today, while REIT is probably a success from a return perspective because it's more stabilized format, but it is still only checking the surface from a 900 million square feet of space which is already there allocated. It's only 10% of the space which is currently in the REIT format. So in all the asset classes on the real assets, there is a huge potential where the money is already lying to be realized. It's just how we can participate to realize those money for the investors.
The question was MFD's future business and all that. I have a very limited number of years of experience as a MFD. My reading is the only way, possibly, and I might be wrong, the clients are not educated enough to even understand a large cap fund or a multi-cap fund or this cap fund, a tiger fund and a rat fund. There are various names they give. So I think a huge amount of local, quote unquote, local trading program in the local language has to be met wherever it is. If it's Haryana, that language. If it's in Andhra, that language. If it's in Bengal, the Bengali language. And if it's Assam, the Homia language. Because if you do not make them understand, they will not be able to tell you what would suit them. And if you don't understand clients, the psycho, the risk profile, the ability to take a shock, then you will not be able to give him the right product. And giving the right product will ensure your AUM stability, the giving the right product and updating him maybe every quarter through interacting and connecting. How many times do we really talk to the clients once we have got the AUM? We are looking for the next client. So that is not the approach as I have seen in my limited period. So education will be the forefront. Client education will be the forefront if you want to have a huge AUM.
So sir, I would like to share my thoughts on this. तो इसके लिए मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ क्यों इनोवेट करना जरूरी है. सपोज आपको फीवर है, राइट, और आप कैलकाटा के बेस्ट डॉक्टर के पास गए. डॉक्टर क्या करता है? डायग्नोसिस करता है और आपको आपका प्रिस्क्रिप्शन लिखता है. प्रिस्क्रिप्शन क्या है? एडवाइस है. और सपोज इस प्रिस्क्रिप्शन में डॉक्टर लिखे कि सुबह एक क्रोसिन लेना, दोपहर में एक क्रोसिन लेना और शाम को एक क्रोसिन लेना, और ये क्रोसिन 3 दिन तक लेना, आप बिल्कुल ठीक हो जाओगे, और अपनी वो फीस चार्ज कर ले 1000 रुपीज. कैसा लगा डॉक्टर जो 1000 रुपए चार्ज कर रहा है क्रोसिन बताने के? अब इसकी जगह वो दवाई दे क्रेप्टाक्रोसोमाइसिन, जो 2 केमिस्ट बना करते हैं, बड़ी मुश्किल से मिलती है, और तीसरे के पास मिले. दोनों सेम मेडिसिन है, दोनों पैरासीटामोल है. अब डॉक्टर कैसा लग रहा है? क्योंकि क्लाइंट क्या वैल्यू क्या करेगा? यूनिक एडवाइस, यूनिक प्रोडक्ट. तो आपके पास यूनिक क्या है? क्या आप भी वो 5 स्टार रेटेड फंड जाके उसे बताते हो कि खरीद ले? वो कहेगा ये तो मैं खुद देख लेता. आप कहते हो ना डायरेक्ट पे क्यों जा रहा है? डायरेक्ट पे इसलिए जा रहा है क्योंकि आप इनोवेट नहीं कर रहे, आप उसको नई चीजें नहीं बता रहे. जितना आप उसको नया बताओगे उतनी ही वो आपकी एडवाइस को वैल्यू करेगा, जितने आप नए प्रोडक्ट इंट्रोड्यूस करोगे. क्योंकि ये प्रोडक्ट अगर एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है तो कोई रीजन है. क्रोसिन भी है, क्रेप्टाक्रोसोमाइसिन भी है, कोई रीजन तो है ना. वो रीजन समझना जरूरी है और उसके हिसाब से आपको क्लाइंट को बताना जरूरी है. ये बिजनेस नॉलेज ड्रिवन बिजनेस है, ये बिजनेस प्रोडक्ट ड्रिवन बिजनेस है. आप एक्चुअल में आप कुछ भी बोलो, आप सेल तो प्रोडक्ट ही करते हो. वो प्रोडक्ट कितना नया है ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. जो क्लाइंट ने नहीं सुना अगर आप उसको वो बताओगे तो वो वैल्यू करेगा, ये नई चीज लेके आता है. इसीलिए इनोवेशन और इनोवेटिव प्रोडक्ट्स को आप ऐड करिए. आपके पास 2 ही ऑप्शन है, सेम क्लाइंट को नए प्रोडक्ट दो या नए क्लाइंट को पुराने प्रोडक्ट दो. बेटर क्या है? सेम क्लाइंट को नए प्रोडक्ट दो. क्लाइंट एक्वायर करना मुश्किल है, राइट? That's what this business is all about. That was my take on it. Thank you. Actually, now I'll ask some questions on PMS and AIF. So we have people sitting in this group who are masters of PMS and AIF. So first, I'd like you to explain what is an AIF and how is it different from a mutual fund, and why should advisors or clients look at it AIF thing. And this is open to people who would like to answer.
सो सी इंडिया में आप कलेक्टिव इन्वेस्टमेंट 3 तरीके से मैनेज कर सकते हो. म्यूचुअल फंड ऑफ कोर्स इज द फर्स्ट एग्रीगेटर इंस्ट्रूमेंट, राइट? आप कलेक्टिव पैसा मैनेज कर सकते हो. पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजमेंट सर्विस इज अनदर दिस थिंग, बट वहाँ पे आपका फंड मैनेजमेंट जो है, सो द फंड मैनेजर एड्स वैल्यू इन टर्म्स ऑफ कौन सा स्टॉक लेना है, कौन सा नहीं लेना है, करेक्ट? सो म्यूचुअल फंड में एक देयर इज अ जेनरिक अप्रोच कि एक पोर्टफोलियो सबके लिए लागू पड़ता है एंड द एंट्री एग्जिट इज एट एन एनएवी, राइट? पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजमेंट सर्विस में उसमें और पर्सनलाइज हो सकता है इन द सेंस दैट अ फंड मैनेजर कैन डिसाइड अ स्ट्रेटेजी कि हाँ मैं यही पोर्टफोलियो करूंगा बट आई विल ग्रेजुअली डिप्लॉय मनी. पर्सनलाइज सर्विस हो सकती है, डिस्क्रिशनरी हो सकता है, नॉन डिस्क्रिशनरी हो सकता है. नॉन डिस्क्रिशनरी मतलब फंड मतलब जो डिसीजन मेकिंग है उसमें क्लाइंट का भी कंसेंट लगता है. डिस्क्रिशनरी मतलब फंड मैनेजर खुद ही डिसाइड करेगा, करेक्ट? तो ये दूसरी स्ट्रेटेजी हो गई वेयर यू नो द मनी कैन बी मैनेज्ड एज अ कलेक्टिव इंस्ट्रूमेंट. एंड देन द थर्ड इज ऑल्टरनेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड, राइट? सो दीज आर द 3 ways. ऑल्टरनेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड में कैटेगरी 1 इज योर एंजल स्टॉक वेंचर कैपिटल इन्वेस्टिंग है. कैटेगरी 3 जो है वो एक लॉन्ग शॉर्ट स्ट्रेटेजी कर सकते हैं कि जहाँ पे आप 1x डेरिवेटिव्स वगैरह मतलब लेवरेज कर सकते हो. और इन दोनों के बीच में जो नहीं आता है दैट इज योर कैटेगरी 2. आई थिंक ही विल बी एबल टू एक्सप्लेन द कैटेगरी 2 बेटर, सो आई लिव इट टू फॉर हिम टू एक्सप्लेन कैटेगरी 2.
Yeah, thanks, Bhavik. So, on the alternatives, just to keep it simple and to adding to what Bhavik already mentioned, is while we all know about mutual fund, now taking on technical side, AIF is on a structure very much like mutual fund. The whole idea of that as a business trust is there is no taxability at the fund level. It is all taxed at the hands of the investors. That's the beauty about any of these fund structures. Uh, while we can all invest through a debt instrument, but then there are always leakages or the withholds which are there in any other format of investments directly. Uh, Typically, in a mutual fund, there is no a minimum amount of investment which is defined because the regulator tries to define the strategy so that everybody who is providing or any asset manager who is providing that service is defined by that regulation as to where that they can put in money. Whereas in the case of an AIF, because it is a more structured format, very specific to the kind of investment that somebody is doing, it could be agnostic to any industry. So as Bhavik also mentioned about a category 1, 2 or 3, those are categorizations that have been done by regulation just to keep the regulations very simple on who can invest and where you can invest that money in. So if a category 3 is a hedge fund, there are certain amount of leverages or a defined trade habit that you can work on. If there is a venture fund in a category 1, then again there are amount of investments that you can do in a certain format. And in a category 2, which is typically your real estate or the other funds, which is a residual fund structure, is where the AIF2 forms into play. Here, there is a minimum amount of investment that has been defined by the regulator, because as I mentioned here, the regulator is not defining where you invest the money or in what strategy you put in the money. So there are more matured investor category that you would want to be brought into the AIF, and there it's the amount of 1 crore rupees which has been defined. Now, just to again give it a slight clarification, this 1 crore is a commitment amount. Just like in a PMS talks about a 50 lakh as an entry point where you have to commit on day 0 itself. Whereas, and not in the form of just commitment, but real transfer of money or security. In an AIF, a 1 crore as a commitment, it can be drawn down over a period of time. It could be even to the extent of 1 year to 2 years based on the investment strategy that you are putting into an AIF. So, that's the broad about the AIFs.
So I just like to add a couple of points what both the gentlemen said, beautifully explain the structure altogether. So if I may ask you one question, that how many of you read the monthly disclosure at the end of the month of the mutual fund being sent in your email? What are the stocks added or exited? I'm sure no one, right? I seldom do. But in PMS and AIF, things are so transparent that you get each and every detail, what has been added, what exited, what is the reason behind it. The latitude for PMS and AIF is much wider. Also, if I tell you, if an investor comes to you with a large corpus and he says that, okay, I don't want to go with the 2.5% or the 2% fees of a mutual fund, can you give me a graded fee structure? Probably the answer would be no, right? Because we have to go as per the model of direct or regular. But in AIF and PMS, you have the opportunity that these are performance linked. If we perform, we charge, or else you don't. So here we have to understand the nitty-gritties of it. Of course, there are risks associated with it. As he rightly said, we expect the HNIs, which we term is as HNIs, right? They should come into this PMS and AI platform. Why? Because their risk tolerance capability is little higher. Their endurance of understanding the volatility of the market is, a tad better. It is presumed to be, right? So that is how I would place this particular topic. Sorry, I didn't get you.
How many PAN holders are actually investing into
AIF? So if you ask me, I should not comment about my company, but we manage more than
number of people who invest in AI?
PMS and AIF as a category accounts for 11% of the total listed equity in terms of the total investment. The size.
We'll come to question answers later.
Yeah.
Just a minute. So my last question is very important for all of us. How can mutual fund distributors and investors learn about these PMS, AIF? And I should not be saying that NISM certification is just the base, right? It needs something more than that, right? So what can they do to learn more about it? And do you all offer in your company some ways where they can get connected with you and learn more about the product? Because it's a very new product, right? And it's a complex product, right? So how can that learning be transmitted to people who matter, people who are promoting this?
करेक्ट सो आई थिंक आपने बहुत रेलेवेंट बोला कि NISM सर्टिफिकेशन इज जस्ट अ बेस लेवल ऑफ सर्टिफिकेशन, राइट? इट्स मोर लाइक अ सर्टिफिकेशन, बट इन्वेस्टर्स आर लुकिंग एट बियॉन्ड दैट, राइट? अभी जैसे मैंने मार्केट लिंक्ड डिबेंचर के बारे में बताया, राइट? तो एज अ फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि मैन्युफैक्चरर जैसे एबैंस मार्केट लिंक डिबेंचर को कैसे मैन्युफैक्चर करता है, राइट? व्हाट आर द रिस्क्स विच इज इन्वॉल्व, राइट? विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. क्लाइंट शायद आपको बोलेगा आप जहां बोलोगे मैं साइन करके दे देता हूं, बट दैट इज वेयर हिज ट्रस्ट, दैट इज बिकॉज हिज ट्रस्ट यू, राइट? बट वो ट्रस्ट को कंटिन्यूस करने के लिए आपका ड्यू डिलिजेंस होना बहुत जरूरी है, करेक्ट? सो ड्यू डिलिजेंस के लिए आपके पास वो नॉलेज होना जरूरी है. तो हम लोग वो करते हैं, जैसे आपका सवाल है, हम लोग क्या करते हैं, एवरी फ्राइडे इनवेरिएबली हम लोग वेबिनार करते हैं, राइट? इसमें हम पूरी प्रोडक्ट को डीकम्पोज करते हैं कि आज अगर मैं कोई प्रोडक्ट के बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ, नॉलेज एनहांसमेंट के बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ, अगर हम लोग मार्केट के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजमेंट सर्विस में हम कौन सा, जैसे गौरव ने भी बताया कि मंथ एंड पे अगर आपको ये कम्युनिकेशन आता है तो वो रैशनल के साथ में आता है कि पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजर ने अगर ये स्टॉक निकाला है तो क्यों निकाला है, इसने ये स्टॉक लिया है तो क्यों लिया है. उससे क्या होता है कि आपको भी पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजर कैसे सोचता है, राइट? वो समझने को आएगा, राइट? अभी बहुत सारे फोरम्स में मैं सुन रहा हूं कि क्लाइंट्स बात कर रहे हैं कि मुझे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर अल्फा चाहिए. पहले सिर्फ होता था कि फंड मैनेजर ने क्या अल्फा जनरेट करके दिया, उसने कितना एक्स्ट्रा रिटर्न जनरेट करके दिया. नाउ इन्वेस्टर, बिकॉज डिजिटल एज में आप जिस प्रोडक्ट के बारे में सोच रहे हो शायद क्लाइंट उसके 100 वीडियो देख चुका है, करेक्ट? बिकॉज उसके पास पैसा है, समझो, जिसके पास पैसा है उसके पास वो एबिलिटी भी है कि वो और भी समझ सकता है, राइट? और दूसरा क्या होता है कि आप अगर एक क्लाइंट को हैंडल कर रहे हो, जो HNI क्लाइंट है, दे आर ऑल शेयर्ड क्लाइंट, राइट? आपने एक्सपीरियंस किया होगा कि कोई क्लाइंट आपके साथ एक्सक्लूसिव नहीं है. आपको अगर 25 लाख दिया है तो 4 और लोगों को 25 लाख देके रखा है, तो ही इज गेटिंग इनपुट्स फ्रॉम मेनी. और वो तो क्या सोचेगा, ये 5 मेरे एडवाइजर में से मैं किसके साथ में जुड़ना चाहता हूँ, किसको और पैसा देना चाहता हूँ, कौन मेरे लिए वैल्यू एडिशन कर रहा है, राइट? तो हम लोग ये करते हैं एंड विल बी ग्लैड टू हैव like any webinar also on complex products, right? Not just related to market link debenture, but knowledge तो enhance होना ही पड़ेगा. चाहे वो knowledge फिर client कितना हो सकता है कि वो knowledge देने के बाद वो वही म्यूचुअल फंड लेगा, आप समझो. बट ऐसा जरूरी नहीं कि knowledge देने से वो अलग प्रोडक्ट ले लेगा. आपके लिए आपको बेचना वही है, समझो. But the point is, are you able to make that impression that you know your business better? That is the important thing.
So just to add to it, see, advisors are like translators, right? They are compilers. So as a manufacturer of the instrument, let's say Integro, we specialize into real estate asset management, and we manufacture investment opportunities which are probably superior return generating. At the same time, we know the risks and the mitigants that we have put across. But then can, as the advisors, you understand from the investor's perspective that, okay, what all risks are you actually taking to create those kind of alpha or the returns for the investors? And in the lucid manner, can you translate that and put it across to the investors? See, at the end of the day, mutual fund is a great example. Like, see, the industry has evolved purely because the manufacturers, which are the asset management companies, and the advisors, they came together and they made a success. You never tell to an investor as to what are the complexities in the mutual fund. You tell them that, okay, considering these regulations, the risk factors are so and so, they've been taken care or mitigated in so and so format, and we would suggest that you go ahead with it. So at the end of the day, that's the compiler or the translator's role that the advisor has to play so that they can be decluttering all the noise in the format of investing, because that's the biggest comfort that the investor has to draw, that my advisor has already gone through the various factors which are probably defining that investment requirement and the decision making that needs to be going behind taking that investment call.
I just wanted to, since this topic has come up, we have been hearing during the earlier part of the program, mutual fund sahi hai. I would just like to add, MFD भी sahi hai. Because if the MFD is not sahi, mutual fund is not going to be sahi. That's what my point. I have been happy on that. So हम लोग खुद ही ज़्यादा सही हो जाए, तो mutual fund भी सही हो जाएगा.
So I just to add a couple of points into it on a philosophical aspect to it, like it's applicable for our personal investments as well. Like we are growing money for our investors. What are you doing for us? You know, that's very critical. अपना पैसा नहीं बनाओगे दूसरा पैसे का बना के मजा नहीं आएगा अपने को. So what is market? Market are the prices of various stocks at a given point of time. And what is that? Prices of stocks at a given point of time is the rationality and emotionality of human beings. So what is market? Market equals to rationality and emotionality of human beings. Sometimes rationality dominates, sometimes emotionality dominates. Bell baj gaya, I'll just take 30 seconds. Emotionality dominates. So what we try to do is, we try to be more rational over a period of time. Investing should be giving you mental comfort. You should make less error of commission and error of omission तो होता ही है, ये नहीं लिए वो अच्छा बढ़ गया, बाहर का सबसे अच्छा लगता है, खुद का अपने को अच्छा नहीं लगता है. Error of commission कम करो, and in that pursuit, be it be your investment or client investment, try to follow these 5 principles of investing. One is people, second is philosophy, third is process, fourth is product, fifth is the performance. If the people is rock solid behind who are managing, like people like us, all these elite panelists, the philosophy, as he said, you have to understand the philosophy of the particular company. Then comes the process. And if all these 3 things stitches together, product is an outcome and performance would be a automatic choice. With this, I'll just end with one quote of MS Dhoni, right? I'm a big fan of MS Dhoni. Mr. Rao bhi bata rahe the, MS Dhoni bhi जुड़े हैं mutual fund सही के साथ में. One time, Harsha Bhogle in an interview asked MS Dhoni that what do you tell to your team when you win or lose? He said, I have a process checklist. 10 में से अगर 8 tick mark हुए हैं ना, I am fine. Still, 10 out of 8 times will win, 2 times will lose. In the process, you will lose. But try to give your mental comfort into investing, both for you and for your investors.
Great. So we'll have 1 or 2 questions, but the questions need to come from the back, not from the front. Very simple. We want everybody to be involved. So people who are not backbenchers, who are just sitting at the back, do you have some questions? You just raise your hand, we'll be there. Anybody at the back side who wants to ask a question?
Let's break the myth that they are backbenchers. Let's have a question.
ये आप सब समझ गए या आप नहीं समझे, दोनों में से एक है.
Anybody else who has a question by the front or back? वहाँ पे एक question है, पीछे आया है. Please give the mic. There's somebody.
Hi, I have a question for Rahul ji.
Yeah.
In terms of, out of curiosity, I, for a couple of my clients, had advised them to invest in REITs. And I thought that REITs would be a good space to be in at this point in time because it's very, at a beginning stage in this country. But I want to know, but still in terms of the valuation, I find that in spite, like it's an assumption, if the broader markets are moving up and the economy is doing well, the REITs should also rise in terms of the perceived value. But however, there is a disconnect, which I've been seeing for that, because we have got 3 or 4 REITs in the country. So your sort of views on this, please.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that question. And definitely, REITs is a great product. I believe that's what you mean. So real estate investment trust, if we look it from the regulatory perspective, it's a business trust. It is structured in a similar format as a mutual fund or a AIF. The beauty about a REITs is it's a finished product asset class. So it's a yield-based product. So from a riskiness perspective, the only riskiness which is there is the occupancy of that asset, and the collection which is coming in. Everything else has been tight jacketed by the regulator. So when the regulator says that if you are collecting 100 rupees, 90 rupees has to be distributed to the investors on a periodic basis, you are effectively looking at the NAV of the asset remaining intact. So the only reason why a NAV of the asset will move and which will effectively have the impact on the price of the asset are going to be four-pronged. One is if there is the product efficiency which has been improved. So if the asset which is underlying, you have refurbished and done some amount of enhancement there. Second could be your tenant enhancement, wherein possibly you had a certain B minus category or a B grade tenants there, where you have increased the tenant quality. Third is your overall price improvement in that local micro market. For example, if you have a rental going of around 100 rupees a square feet, and because of some infrastructure developments or because of something prospectively going to come in, your rates are expected to go up by 1 to 150 rupees instead of 105 rupees, which is a typical rental increment every year, then that will have an impact on your asset value. And fourth is definitely, as I mentioned, on the occupancy. So if any of these move, then your price of the REIT unit will definitely move. Otherwise, there is no reason, because there is no accrual of the income which is going inside the system. So that's the reason. Yeah, absolutely. See, because there is a huge supply which is coming in, and then there is a occupancy pressure at the same time. If there's a big large tenant leaves the office premises and probably is occupied by somebody who is probably not as strong, it will have a direct impact on your pricing. So if there's a consolidation, let's say at a particular tenant level, wherein they're trying to release some of the inventories from one of the properties to take up into some other space, there will be a movement which is going to happen.
So
Thank
with
you.
that, we'll end this panel discussion. The panelists are still here. You can ask them questions privately. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot for this very
Thank you,
wonderful
everyone.
discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, all the esteemed panelists. We would like to present vote of thanks to all the panelists who have been here and made this panel a great discussion.